He climbed a mountain for answers, but returned with a question that changed his life. This is the story of a restless village boy who discovered that true wisdom isn't about learning everything. It's about learning to let go. In the peaceful village of Kashepa, tucked between rice fields and misty green hills, lived a boy named Arv. At 17, he was curious and endlessly full of questions. Every day, after his chores, Arv would sit beneath the old neem tree with his worn-out notebook, scribbling ideas, dreams, and questions that seemed to have no answers. He dreamed of understanding life, what made people happy, what brought peace, what his purpose truly was. But the more he thought, the heavier his heart became. One evening, unable to contain his frustration, Arv turned to his grandfather. "Why do I feel so restless, even when everything is fine?" The old man smiled gently and said, "Because your cup is full." Arve frowned. "Cup? What cup?" But his grandfather only chuckled and walked away. Arv didn't understand. All he knew was that he needed answers, and soon. A few days later, Arv overheard travelers speaking about a wise monk who lived high in the Trava mountains, a man said to hold the secrets of peace and enlightenment. Without telling anyone, Arv packed a small bag with bread, water, and determination, and began his climb. Through whispering forests and fog-covered trails, across swinging bridges and rocky slopes, he walked for 3 long days. His feet blistered, his clothes tore, and hunger gnawed at him. But his desire to know why his heart felt so heavy burned stronger than any pain. "I'll ask him everything," he muttered. "I'll finally understand what life is really about." On the 3rd evening, Arv reached a quiet monastery built of stone and wood. Wind chimes swayed gently, their soft music echoing through the mountain air. An old monk with serene eyes and a smile that carried decades of peace welcomed him. "Tea?" the monk asked simply. Arvi nodded eagerly and followed him inside. The room was small, nothing but a mat, a low table, and the smell of burning incense. The monk poured tea into a clay cup and motioned for Arv to sit. As soon as the boy sat down, the questions burst out. "Master, I want to understand the meaning of peace. How do I become wise? What's the secret to happiness? Why do I feel so lost, even when I have everything?" The monk didn't reply. He simply poured tea, and kept pouring. The tea rose to the brim, then spilled over the edges, dripping onto the table, and finally onto the floor. "Stop!" Arvi shouted. "The cup is full. It's overflowing." The monk looked up, his eyes as calm as still water, and said softly, "Exactly. Like this cup, your mind is full of thoughts, judgments, fears, desires, and noise. How can I pour wisdom into you when your cup is already overflowing?" Arvi froze. The truth hit him like thunder. All his life he had been searching, asking, filling his mind with knowledge and his heart with noise. He wanted to learn peace, but he had never made space for it. For the first time, he didn't speak. He stayed at the monastery for several days, but he didn't ask another question. He swept the floors beside the monk. He watched the sunrise in silence. He listened to the wind, to the birds, to his own breathing. At first, the stillness felt strange, but slowly, something inside him began to loosen. He realized peace wasn't hidden in the mountains or buried in sacred texts. It was waiting in the empty space inside him, beneath the noise of thought, beneath the weight of wanting. He began to understand. Peace is not found in knowing more, but in needing less. Not in holding on, but in letting go. When Aiv finally returned to Kashepa, the villagers gathered around, eager to hear what he had learned. "Did you get your answers?" one of them asked. Arv smiled. "No," he said softly. "I emptied my cup, and in that silence, I heard everything." He no longer carried questions, only calm. He no longer sought wisdom, he lived it. Years later, Arv became a teacher in the same village, sitting beneath the same neem tree where his journey had begun. He didn't teach formulas or philosophy. He taught the art of stillness, of breathing, listening, and letting go. And one day, when a curious child asked, "Sir, what's the secret to peace?" Arv simply smiled, handed the child a cup, and poured tea until it overflowed. The moral of this story is profound. Sometimes, your heart isn't heavy because of what is missing, it is heavy because of what you refuse to let go. You cannot fill your life with peace if your mind is already full of noise. You cannot discover truth if your heart clings to the past. Let go of pride, let go of overthinking, let go of the need to control or to be right. Because peace doesn't come from holding on, it comes from surrendering, breathing, and trusting that life will unfold as it should. The monk's lesson is simple yet eternal. When your mind is empty, your heart becomes full. So the next time you feel lost, don't search for more answers. Instead, sit in silence, listen, breathe, empty your cup and let life pour its wisdom into you. If this story spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs a little peace today. And if you want more stories that calm the mind and awaken the soul, subscribe and stay with us, because sometimes, to fill your life with light, you must first empty your cup.